Maseches Bava Kama Daf Sameches Amud Aleph. We are in the first word lan. So, where were we holding? We were asking a question last week, and that question still remains. Even though it was answered, it's going to resurface now in a much smarter way. Yeah, the same thing keeps coming back and attacking Rav. What did Rav say? Rav said last week that yiush is koine by itself. Once a ganav, after the bailim was meyash, original bailim, now it's in the hands of the ganav. The ganav is the owner. Of course, he owes money, but the object itself belongs to him. The question is, there's a big problem here for Rav. Because according to Rav, whenever on earth would you have a case of a person selling something and then having to pay above a chamisha? When would that ever happen? Bishlam, by the way, we understand things. We, the mainstream people who follow Rav Yosef, we say, no, you have yiush. Okay. Yiush allows you, not allows you that it's okay. Yiush prepares the ground for selling on to someone else. Once you sold it to someone else, the Ganav, I'm not saying you're a Ganav, yeah? Yiush, and then the Ganav sells it to someone else means it's very interesting what happens. It's like two things happen in one go, in one shot. When Reuven the Ganav sells it to Shimon, the Ganav's customer, then two things happen in one snap. I don't know if you guys hopped it last week, because really what happens is there's yiush and shinui rashus. Shinui rashus means there's a change of domain, change of hands. Change of hands mean it's owned by the Ganav. So the same second, it becomes the Ganav's and he sells it on to a different person. And that's okay. At the same time, two things happen in the same go. At the same time, yeah. In other words, the yiush allowed shinui rashus to happen. Shinui rashus means that now it belongs to the Ganav and the Ganav sells it on to the new customer. But according to Rav, well, it's not like that. If Rav holds yiush alone is koine, so make up your mind. If there was a sale before yiush, if the sale was before yiush of the original owner, then it's not a sale. It's a joke. It's playing shop. Playing doctor doesn't mean you have PhD, right? Okay, it's not a real thing. Or if you say that yiush is really koine and he sold it after yiush, why does he pay 4 and 5? For the shepsel or the ox, it completely belongs to the Ganav. Of course, he has to pay money, not a nice guy. No shidduch for me. But Lamaisa, it is not doesn't make sense. So the attempts, the Gemara tried answering all the time and so far survived to say, no, really, the person is chayav, not, even if the mechira is not effective, even if the sale is not real and not effective, it's not nishtaresh bechet. It didn't actually make the chet deeper and too crude, but it's shona bechet. He's behaving in a way that shows he's not doing tshuva. He's behaving in a way that is like trying to sell it. He shows my intention are to sell it. And then alone is bad. So really the mechira was before yush. The sale was before yush. It's not a good mechira, nishkeferlech. Even if it's not an effective mechira, still it's considered to be a mechira good enough for him to pay 4 and 5. Effective enough to pay 4 and 5. That is where we're holding right now. That's where we're holding, and now we're going to come up with a mega question against Rav. 1, 2, 3. Says the Gemara, Meisivi. This Braisa, you have to really know it well, and it's not such a complicated thing. It's just you have to remember all 3 parts of the Braisa called, as we say in the yeshiva world, yeah? And that's why I'm going to write them down also here on the whiteboard, the Kitzer. Case number 1 of the Braisa, and by the way, this Braisa is going to be again an attempt to break Rav's opinion and to tell us that yiush alone cannot acquire. Basically, Gonav, a person stole, another guy stole from him. It's that simple. Gonav bin a Ganav. There are 3 people. Yeah, there's the owner, Ganav number 1, Ganav number 2. And then what happens? Very simple. Arisho and Mishalim Tashlum Kefel. The first Ganav to the real owner, original owner, has to pay Kefel. Because that's what the Torah means, Kitadalid, you know, you have to, or before. You have to pay Kefel. It says it's so in the Torah. The second Ganav, who stole from the first Ganav, a Ganav and a Ganav Potur. From what is the Potur? The Ganav from the Ganav is Potur from Kefel. Because it says, V'gunav mi beisa ish v'lo mi beisa Ganav. It says in the Torah, only if you stole from the person's house and not from the Ganav's house. So here you only have to pay Keren Bilvad. You only have to pay the original one, what you stole, or the value of it. The second Ganav has to pay the first Ganav, only the original. It does not have to pay the first Ganav Kefel. That's statement number 1. It seems to be very simple, although, but let's take it simply now. Case number 2, by the way, it's also very important we know how they're called. The first one is called Reisha. The middle one is called Mitziasa. Metziasa means the middle one, like Metzia, Bava Metzia. Here we're learning the Metziasa. If you want to underline the word Ganav every time, it's actually very good because the Metziasa also starts with the word Ganav. Case number 2, Metziasa. Ganav, the person stole Umocha, then he sold it onwards. So there are already 3 people. There's the first Ganav who stole from the first owner, then he sold it to his customer. And somebody else stole it from the second owner. It's very simple. Owner, thief, owner, thief. Setu. The first guy pays 4 and 5. The first Ganav has to pay the first owner 4 and 5. You know why? Because he sold it. We're obviously talking here about a sheep or an ox, and therefore he has to pay Bava Kama. He's a Ganav who sold it on. A Ganav who sells on has to pay 4 or 5, depends on the animal. And what about the other one? Who's the other one? The Sheni is the who's the Sheni? Sheni is the second Ganav who stole from the second owner. The Shalom Teshlume Kefel, he only has to pay Teshlume Kefel. He has to pay double to the second owner. Okay? In other words, the second Ganav to the second owner has to pay Kefel because the second Ganav didn't sell it on or slaughtered it. So it's very simple. The second Ganav stole it from the second owner who's a legal owner. He bought a stolen good. I don't know if he knew it was stolen, didn't know it was stolen, but he's a legal owner. If he's a legal owner, he gets kefil. He is the current owner. Of course, the original has to go to the first owner, but that doesn't bother him. So that's a metziasa. Case number 3, we're going to review it, by the way. Case number 3, that's called seifa, of course. The end of the Braisa, the seifa, is even simpler. Gonav v'tovach. There's one guy, there are 2 people. Ganav, who stole from the owner. And then what did he do? Tovach, what does tovach mean? Shechted, slaughtered. He shechted, he took the nice shepsala, meat in Israel, the very rare to find mehadrin, very kosher mehadrin, mutton. So he wants to shecht it. What can he do? B'tovach, ubo acher v'gonvoi. And somebody stole the shepsala after he was shechted. The meat, he was already shechted, salted. Now it's in a nice little plastic containers in the freezer. And then somebody came and stole from the Ganav. Only 3 people here. The Ganav from the owner, he shechted, and then somebody stole from him after it's been shechted already. Okay? So a Ganav stole from the Ganav after the animal has been shechted. The first Ganav pays 4 and 5, obviously, because he stole and he shechted. He stole and shechted an ox or a thing, pays 4 and 5. At all. The second one does not pay the first Ganav kefel. The second Ganav does not pay the first Ganav kefel, only keren, because a Ganav from a Ganav doesn't pay kefel. That's not so good. Here already Rashi cannot take it anymore. And Rashi asks us, although we're not looking inside, Rashi asks the question and he says, what are you talking about? We have a problem here because as much as we say Ganav from a Ganav is not koine, it's not so simple. Why? Because once the Ganav shechted, then it belongs to who? To the Ganav. Didn't we say time and again that something that was shechted is considered as shinui maise? You tell me, people, with all your fancy charts, very nice. Yosef did the right thing. He opened the chart, very nice. Which one is the king of all shinuim, would you say? For example, why? Because slaughter belongs to which box would you classify it? Shinui maise, it's a shinui maise. It's a completely different thing. That's meat and that's shechted. And last time I checked, it's very hard to revive dead animals that are shechted and frozen in the freezer. I tried, didn't work. Maybe vegetarian people like to do it. Yeah, but lamaisa, there's no because of the vow. So the question is, why do we say that in the third case, why is it that the Ganav from the Ganav, the should pay him kefil? Because after slaughtering, it belongs to the Ganav. Now we're going to write it inside on the whiteboard, so the 5 million people who watch me online will have to minus million. Yeah, we'll have to write. We'll have to wait for a minute. Okay. Okay. Tanimi Metziasa. We see the middle case. If you examine the middle case, you see that something here doesn't work right. Why? What does it say in the middle case? Gonav umocha. A person stole and then sold it onwards. Then came thief number 2 and stole it from who? From the second person. Second thief from second person, right? It's very symmetric over here. Owner, thief, owner, thief. Very nice. So nice and beautiful. Arisha and Mishalem Tashnum Bava Kama. The first one pays 4 and 5, right? Pays 4 and 5. Why does he pay 4 and 5? Well, he stole and he sold on. And it's a sheep or an ox. So my Rebbe in Kitadale told me Mechira in this case. The second ganev to the second owner pays kefil, which makes sense. Why? Because now the legal owner is the second guy. He bought stolen goods. It's a very terrible avera, but it's definitely his. He paid money to the owner, to the thief. That's good for the point. And now he's the current owner. And if you stole from me, don't give me musar. You stole from me. You second thief from second owner. You pay me kefil, and that's where it goes. Oh, something here. Oh, if we are not with Rav, it actually works very well. If we are, that's I want to be makdim. Us, good boys that follow Rav Yosef, and that's halacha l'maaseh in Shulchan Aruch. We are very happy with the second case. You know why? Everything makes sense because the thief, after he sold it to Mr. Second Owner, the thief became the owner and the seller in the same instant. Very cool. Because, of course, because by shinui reshus, let's say there was yiush over here. When was yiush? Yiush is the name of the game. And yiush ba'olam klal. So if the yiush was here between the owner and the thief, there was yiush over here while it was by the thief. And after yiush, he sold it to Mr. Owner, customer, buyer. Yeah. Then I, Rav Yosef follower, I'm sitting happily, and I said, very nice. Yiush prepared the ground for what? For mechira. Mechira meant that now the thief became the owner and the seller at the same time. So he should jolly well pay 4-5 to the owner because you snatched it out of the hands of the original owner by selling it onwards. Naughty boy. He took something that belongs still to the original owner and you sold it. And for that, you got to pay 4-5. However, the second owner is also the legal owner, of course, because he got it after yiush and shinui reshus. Yiush and shinui reshus at that happy moment. This is a crucial moment when the thief got it to the owner. Now he's a legal owner, and if the second thief steals from him, he got to pay double. That's very good, according to us. See the other side, and then we'll get to it. But now we're attacking Rav big time. Rav is now, he's on the radar. Amos, when exactly did the sale take place? Tell me, please, Rav Hagodol. When did when did that sale between the first thief and his customer? When did that happen? If it took place before yiush, why should the second thief pay the second owner to shlumei kefil? In other words, shinui reshus below yiush mikal mandor dekani. In other words, if the sale was before yiush, everybody agrees that nothing happened. If it was before yiush, then Mr. Second Owner did not become the legal owner. He's not an owner. He's playing owner like somebody plays builder or plays king. Come to my Shabbos table. My 6 years old, his imagination goes to nowhere, and he plays as if Roman Caesar. You know, he can play games. But Lemaisa, you're not really the owner because me ikal amador dekani. Is there anybody with his right mind that would say that a sale works before yiush? No. So here we see that the sale did work. Cannot be before yiush. Must be after yiush. Must be what? That really the yiush there was yiush already, and then he sold, like we said, oh, Mr. But Rav, now Mr. You Rav, he's talking that yiush koine. If you want to tell me yiush alone is already the cutoff point, and after yiush, the ganev becomes the complete, absolute owner. What does he have to pay 4 and 5? He sold his own object. Anything that happens after, this is something which we said before and we'll say again. If the tvicha mechira happened after the ganev is the complete owner, he doesn't have to pay 4 or 5. He only has to pay 4 or 5 if he sold something that still belongs to the owner. According to you, Rav, that can never happen. You, Rav, that falls into the pit. It's the same question we asked before, but why is it more sophisticated? It's a meaner question. You know why? Beforehand, Rav said, no, I really think that really, even if the mechira is not effective, it's still called mechira to be mechai 4 and 5. Here you can't say it. For sure it's an effective mechira because Mr. Second Thief pays Mr. Owner kefil. That blares, that screams with red letters that it was an effective mechira. Otherwise, how come he pays him double, Mr.? Elamai must be there's an effective mechira. How do you have an effective mechira and pay 4 and 5? It's a steer and obey. It cannot happen according to Rav ever. Boom. So now Rav is under attack. That's question number 1, Rav. The 2, more. There's more coming, artillery. The 2. You might one more question, then I'll hear you, or you okay? The 2. And another question, the Ktani Reisha. The Reisha also, the Reisha doesn't make sense either. The Reisha seems to be so innocuous. Oh, Goinav in a Ganav. No, wait a second. What does the Reisha say? The Gemara is going to quote it. Gonav, one person stole. Came another guy and stole from him. Goinav in a Ganav. Rishon Mashal Tushlumi Kefel. Very nice. He's a regular Ganav. He pays Kefel. Vasheni and Mashal Keren. The second one only pays the original price, the keren, the original value, and not more than that. Why? Michdi lacha yiush kinyan. Didn't you tell? We just proved that the Metziasa is talking after yiush. So must be, in order for all 3 cases to be consistent, must be that the first case is also after yiush. Okay, it's after yiush. Kinyan, that's how we talk. That's what we say. If you tell me that yiush is koine, you, Rab, you tell me yiush alone, without any shinuim, yiush alone does the trick. Sheni amen keren. Excuse me, why is the second thief not paying the first thief kefel? It belongs to him. If the story here there was yiush, and you, Rab, you're the only one who says, you and your friend Raba, you're the only ones who say that yiush is koine, why does the second one not pay the first one kefel? Now the ganav, after yiush, according to you, is a legal owner. Legal owners, they're being paid kefel. So elalav shmamina yiush loikani b'kashya lerav. We see from both the Reisha and the Metziasa that yiush alone does not acquire. Yiush alone doesn't do the trick alone. Yiush only works together with shinui reshus or other shinuim, and then b'kashya lerav. That's difficult for Rav because Rav wanted to say the yiush alone is koine. Good time to exit North Korea for a few minutes. You're good. What you wanted to ask is answered. Do you want to answer? Now you can ask. Okay, I think we all understand. Yeah, go ahead. As they say, you can't tell the forest from the trees. The main question we have in Rav again and again is as follows. According to you, Rav, and your friends, Raba and Rava seems to defend them all the time. Maybe Rava also holds like them. But Lamaisa, again, the question is very clear. When the Torah told me that when Ganav steals Shor V'Seh and then sells it on, yeah, and then he's chayav to pay 4 and 5, according to you, Rav, that case of the Torah, Hakadoshah, can never actually happen. It can never actually materialize. It's like Ben Sarah Umoira. It will never happen. Why? And it seems like it would happen. Why? Because again, if you say Yush alone is koine with no other shinuim, then you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. If the sale was before Yush, if I sold on, I'm the Ganav, let's say, and I sold on to somebody else before there was Yush, before Yush, nothing happened. Everyone agrees to that. My neighbor, whom I stole the sheep from, is looking for it frantically. I'm not an owner of Bechlal, right? Before Yush. If so, if I sold it on, it's not called a sale. We found a solution for that, maybe, but for now, we're asking if you need an effective sale, and here it looks like the sale is effective, yet there's no effective sale. And if you say it was after Yush, the person was miyash, now it's mine, and I sold my shepsele, I have to pay 4 and 5? No. If I sell my own shepsele, why do I have to pay 4 and 5? If Yush alone is koine, which we believe only happens with Yush and Shinui, then if Yush alone is koine, why should I pay for selling onward something that belongs to me? For dark past, for dark history, that the guy has a file in the police against him 10 years ago? Irrelevant. That's a question. That's basically the crux of the question according to Rav, that we're asking on Rav. That's the main thing. And here in the middle, it's the Metziasa here really doesn't work right according to Rav. Now, answers the Gemara. 2 possible answers. Omar Rove. Rove again comes to the defense of Raba and Rav. They all have similar names. Raba, Rove, and Rav. They're all in the yiush club. They all believe the yiush alone is koine. Rove never said that mufurish, but he's always defending them. Omar Rove. Rav is now coming to give a counterattack instead of defense. But Isbara, do you think Do you think this Braisa is a metaratzta? There are 2 types of Braisa, metaratzta and mishabashta. What's mishubash? I would say nice language, inaccurate. Mishubash is like inaccurate, yeah? Metoratz is accurate, good, well explained, like teretz. Do you think this Braisa is a metaratzta? You're asking me, you're flying the flag of this Braisa as if this Braisa was the holiest thing in the world. It's very holy, but it's not Maturat. This Braisa is not very well versed. It's not well, not explanatory. It's not exact. It's not accurate. Ella, I'll show to you from the third case. You're focusing on the first, and in the second case, you elegantly ignore the third case. It says in the Seifa something that doesn't make sense according to anybody. It says in the Seifa, the third case, Gonav betovach. You see the big knife? Betovach. He actually slaughtered it. Uba acher vegonvoy. Came thief number 2, stole it from thief number 1 after it was already shechted and maybe even already nicely packed in the freezer. Rishon mishalim tishnum Bava Kama. The first one pays 4 and 5. Okay, he's the guy who shechted. Okay. The sheni and mishalim keren. The second guy to the first one only keren and not kefal. Why is that? Frag the Gemara, Raba asking, is there anybody who says that shinui ma'aseh alone is not koine? Everyone agrees to that. So it's real shinui. He used to be alive, now it's dead. That's kind of different, you know? Now, yeah, I think a little bit. So now everyone agrees that that's koine, and yet, from some odd reason, the second guy, the second thief to the first thief, doesn't pay kefal. Why not? So something in the Braisa anyhow doesn't make sense. As we all know, Braisas usually are less precise, less, less accurate than Mishnayos. So must be this Braisa anyhow needs a facelift. This Braisa anyway needs to undergo a change. This Braisa must be mishubash, wrong in simple English, and therefore I'll read to you the Braisa the way it's supposed to be. And according to my new reading of the Braisa, Rava, and an Amoira can do that. An Amoira can rephrase a Braisa that doesn't make sense, because Braisas are not as accurate as Mishnayos usually. And therefore, now Rav is going to read it right, and Rav's reading will make it work according to Rav. Ella. Therefore, now I'm rereading the whole story. La'olam kula lifnei yiush. Wow. The entire Braisa is talking before yiush. Oh, so now, very good. The whole Braisa is before yiush. Why is it so good now? So first of all, the Reisha makes sense. If it's before yiush, the Reisha finally is good with us. Why? Because really the owner, the thief stole from the owner, there was no yiush. Then the second thief who came from the first one doesn't pay anything except for Karen, because before yiush, there's no ownership of the Ganav. Very nice. What about the middle and the last case? They seem to be not good. You have to, you have to switch them around. How do you switch around? Whatever you said about the end, you have to say about the middle and vice versa. This is how you should read it now. Don't worry. He's going to read it for us, basically taking away the word no and changing no to yes. When you take out one word no from a sentence, it changes the whole thing. Say like this. Now let's read the Metziasa, the middle case with a new reading of Rav. Gonav umochal. He stole, then he sold it on to the new owner. Came another guy and stole it. The first one pays 4 and 5. Boom. The sheni to the second guy, Steve, to the second owner, according to the new reading. Look at this. I changed it and I just added the word no. Remember Nancy Reagan? Yeah. Just say no. Okay, that's Nancy. Lahavdil, else of $5. So now basically, yeah, you do not pay the kefil. You only pay a keren and that's it. The shinui reshus below yiush lo ikani. Shinui reshus without yiush lo ikani. Very good. There was no yiush whatsoever. At the time of Mechira, there was no yiush, and therefore the second guy is not the legal owner. I should really not call him an owner. He's the that's what he is. Yeah, he's not really an owner. I just put inverted commas. Yeah, so therefore the second guy is really not an owner. All very good, because really there's no yiush. Mimela, the sale is not effective. What about why does he pay our Bava Kama? Why does he pay our Bava Kama? He pays 4 and 5. Very good that he pays 4 and 5, because he's still dealing with Yena's object, with the first owner's animal. Before yiush, that's precisely why you have to pay 4 and 5. You pay 4 and 5 only when you're playing with what? With something that belongs to the first owner. It's not a real sale. Rav never cared about that. It doesn't have to be a real sale. Rav sticks to his guns. It doesn't have to be a real sale. You also pay 4 and 5 according to Rav, even if you play shot. That's good. Rav, it's good with Rav. The shinui reshus without yiush doesn't make any difference. That's true lahalacha. If he changes hands with no yiush, doesn't make a difference. Third case, gona v'tovach uba acher v'gonvoy. He stole tovach, shechted it. Another came and stole. Harishon mishalem tadshum Bava Kama. First one has to pay 4 and 5. There was what? There was no yiush. No yiush. You have to pay 4 and 5. Why does he have to pay teshlumei kefel? You know why? The kinyan b'shinui ma'aser. He has to pay kefel. Here again, I'm sorry, Moshe. Here again, he pays kefel. Take off the X. He does pay kefel. You know why? Because even though there's no yiush, really there's no yiush. So what? But shinui, real shinui of ma'aser, shinui ma'aser, real shinui doesn't require yiush. We said it all along. The king of shinui doesn't need yiush. And therefore, now he is the legal owner, the thief, after the shchita. And if the second thief comes and steals from him, he has to pay kefil. So basically, Raba said one thing. He switched the yes to no and no to yes. I think it's a good thing that we have this chart, yeah? In other words, imagine life without the chart. I'm sorry, people at home, but I'm sure you'll be able to understand it. Maybe I'll have a chart online, printed. Okay, got the story? So basically, Rava wants to say everything is good. Rav is my friend, and Rav is good. And Rav will tell you yiush is koine. Why doesn't the Braisa work out? The Braisa works out perfectly because you just switch the no to yes, yes to no. The Braisa is anyhow not explained, it cannot be well explained otherwise. Memela, very good. In this case, there was no legal ownership because he sold it before yiush, and here there was legal ownership because he shechted it. Shchita is shinui with shinui ma'aser. That works without yiush, so that works well. That's why he became the owner and he deserves double, the thief. In this case, there was shinui reshus without yiush, ain't working. No. Shinui reshus without yiush ain't gonna work. Not only on Saturday, no day works. Shinui reshus without yiush doesn't work. And therefore, the second guy is really not the owner. And the real words are that the second thief doesn't pay anything to the second owner. He's not really an owner. He's a fake purchaser. And Mimela, very good. Mashenkin, the thief, does pay 4 or 5 because Rav and his friends, they believe that in order to pay 4 and 5, you don't have to have a real sale. You have to act that way to be able to pay 4 and 5. You sure you're not on the way to do tshuva, you're on the way to become worse. That's the answer of Rava. Yes, questions? Okay, quick. The Gemara. Now the Gemara wants to offer an alternative teretz with Rav. Rav Papa Omar. Rav Papa says, Lo'ilam lo teipuf. No, you don't have to change anything in the Braisa. Rav Papa says, no, wherever no is yes and yes. Don't change the Metziasa in the Seifa. No. The Seifa is really problematic. The Seifa doesn't make sense. Who in his right mind would say the shinui, such a choshev shinui of killing doesn't make a difference? Seifa b'shamai. The Seifa is b'shamai. The Amr shinui bim koimoy oimed. Wow. Remember, the Shammai at the very beginning, they are the ones who said that shinui is just not koine. They don't believe that shinui is koine whatsoever, and therefore you always have to bring it back the original, whatever. How that would actually happen, I don't know, because we don't follow B'Shamai, of course. But Lamaisa, the Seifa that says shinui and a koine is B'Shamai's opinion. So really, this Braisa brings us different opinions. The first two is B'Sila. The third one is B'Shamai. Maybe it would be nicer if the Braisa actually stated it, but it's not the end of the world. But now, wait a second. If so, according to Papa, what are you really telling me? If you're not doing Heipuch, then you're not saying that we have anything here, Lifnei yiush, right? We said before that it's before yiush, but now you're not saying it's before yiush. Yeah, but you have a different answer. You took the Sefer out of the story, and the Reisha and the Metziasa remain the same. If so, according to Rav Papa, back to square one. He didn't actually rearrange the whole Braisa, only the end. So the first and the middle part are difficult with Rav. Because again, if you say yiush is koine, again, if we're talking here before yiush, yeah, then it's very difficult. Again, same question as before. If we're talking here that there was yiush already, owner, thief, there was already yiush, and then the second thief came, he has to pay kefil. Why doesn't he pay kefil? And the second question, as we asked before, Metziasa is the same. If you say that the owner, now you're telling me that the second thief to the second owner has to pay kefil. That's bad with Rav. Same question back to Rav, according to Rav Papa. Thank you very much, Rav Papa. You helped us very much with the third part. It's a Beit Shammai. But the first and second, if you don't follow Rav's teretz, back to square one. Again, Rav is in trouble, especially because of the Metziasa. We see there was an effective Mechira, and at the same time, he has to pay 4 and 5. There's no such thing, according to Rav, having an effective Mechira and paying 4 and 5. Cannot be such a thing in the world, according to Rav. Amar Zvid. Here, Rav Zvid comes with an unbelievably chiddushdik answer, which, by the way, my people, it also applies in Shulchan Aruch. Amar Zvid. La'olam kula lifnei yiush. We're talking here before yiush. Really, back to square one. In that respect, he's like Rava. He's halfway like Rava. We're talking here, the first and second cases before yiush. First case is very good. There was no yiush of the bailim. And the second thief came too early. Too early he came. And he stole from the first thief before yiush. No kefil. Before yiush, it doesn't belong to the ganev. What about this case? You're telling me that there was no yiush and there was a mechira? Before yiush, there's no effective mechira. Listen to this. Da, 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 da. Here, drum roll. Here comes a new piece of information. Hey, base ein. You know the story over here is? Wow. You know when the bailim were miyash? They were miyash when it was in the hands of the owner. The yiush took place in the hands of the owner and not in the hands of the ganev. The havile yiush, it's called yiush. Let me go for a second to the whiteboard and say something cool. Okay. So, go. I'll repeat the answer. Basically, what we're saying is like this. Again, in the Metziasa, what's the case in the Metziasa? We have a case in which there was an owner, nice guy, poor guy, victim, and what happened to him? Somebody stole it from him. Was he miyash? En yiush ba'olam klal. He's a Breslover. And then came the gun. After the Ganev has it, what did the Ganev do? The Ganev sold it on to someone else. Is that an effective mechira? No. Nobody would say that. Why is it an effective mechira? It's before yiush. How can he sell something that doesn't belong to be yours? It's even before yiush of the first guy. So why does he have to pay 4 and 5? Because my name is Rav or Rava. I'm Rav's lawyer, and we are the Rav team. We are very choshev people, and we believe that in order to be chayav and gneva on mechira, you don't have to have a real mechira. You even have to have fake mechira. As we said, if you have a wedding of I don't know, whatever, it's a bad enough, even though it's not effective. Now, and then what happens next? Next part of the story is now we have the thief sold it. He was sold, and then once it was in the hands of the new owner, which, as you said, may be a very innocent guy, somebody else came. Oh, no, Papa, no, comes the Gemara. Nobody stole it yet. You know what happened in that very moment? The first owner, Yosef, was miyash after it was in the hands of the second owner. At that moment, everything changes. Because you had change of hands, and now you have yiush, even though it's the wrong order, it still works. Because at the end of the day, both components are here. Now the second owner is the real owner. It came to him through the back door. We started from Z to A instead of A to Z. But Lamai sits in his hands, and it's shinui, and it's everything, and it's yiush. Now comes the second thief. He's got to pay careful. Because now he is already called the owner, Givaldig. By the way, Moshe and Baruch and everybody else, it's not like the second thief only pays double. He happens to only pay double because, why? The sheep is in his hands. The sheep was not slaughtered here, it was sold. If he would slaughter the sheep, of course he'd have to pay 4. We just don't want to complicate things, but it's the same halacha. It's exactly the same as the first one. It happens to be stam. We don't want to stam make more cases here. But obviously it's the same ganav. It's the same level of ganav as the first one. It's not like tumah that it descends down. No, okay? Just to say that. Weiter. So, Omar Zvid, things here I know are not so simple, but I think we're doing well. Now, we skip the parentheses. Now you may have another chip in the shoulder against Rav. You may say, wait, the middle case spoke about a case of yiush and shinui rashus. Maybe that indicates that yiush alone is not enough. Hey, maybe it means yiush and shinui rashus are necessary, and yiush alone wouldn't do the trick, I mean to say. You need a whole trip of the shit. Why? According to you, Rav, yiush alone is koine. No. Ela filu b'yiush l'chudei nami koni. Gabe ganev. Really, me'ikar adin, really, of course, yiush alone says Rav is koine. Rav alone holds yiush makes a difference. So why did we have such a twisted case? Ela, de lo mashkachas, de mishal mitarabaya, ganev rinish, ganev shen ela. We wanted to find a good case in which both ganovim pay. In other words, this Braisa is all about variations on the theme. We want to sort of play like like in math or language as a quiz of all different cases, all different options. The only option when both of them have to pay to the original owner is only in the case when you have shinui lashus and then yiush. That's the only case where the first one pays and the second one pays. It's the only not symmetrical cute case for the magazine of AB. Owner Ganav, actually OG. Owner Ganav, both Ganavim having to pay. That's the only case that we found that way. But the etzem, really, we don't need shinui lashus. For the first Ganav to own, become an owner, yiush alone does the trick. And that's Rav's opinion. We can continue. I'm open for questions now. We have a new member in the Shiur. Are you going to come every day, Nadav, or just today? Are you going to? Yeah? Okay. Itma. Depends how well we behave. Itma. I hope you're as sharp as your father. He's a smart guy, your father, Itma. Okay. Itma is what? A statement by the Meroim. Oh, we don't need the light now. Curtains down. Getting excited. Now we're going to see another machloikis similar to the ones we had here. Hamoichel lifnei yiush. A person sold before yiush. What happens? You tell me. Up until now, what did we say all the time? If a person sold something before yiush, is that effective? Lo tofes. Is he chayiv though? Bava Kama? Yes. According to. Okay. So he's too young for that. So now, what happens when you have mechira before yiush? According, it's not effective. There's no yiush, and yiush b'olam klal. There's no mechira, no yiush. Is a mechira effective? No. Is a person chayev 4 and 5? Machloikes. Look at this. Amachel lifnei yiush. Rav Nachman Omar chayev. Rav Nachman says chayev. Very good. Rav Nachman says chayev. You sold before yiush. You're chayev. Any yiush b'olam klal. You're chayev, even though it's not real mechira, but you chayev on that. Rav Sheshes Omar potur. Rav Sheshes says you're potur. You sold and you made a sale which is not effective. You're playing games here. Not a nice guy, but you potter the 4-5 because the sale is not real. Now they're going to bring sources, and soon, no, we won't read you now. We have to see Rashi. Rashi now is telling us something extremely important. Rashi dibar maskil chiyuv alacha yushudanu. No, I'm jumping the gun, but on purpose. Allow me to do this. 4 lines from the bottom of the page was a very, very important Rashi. Please look inside. Chiyuv alacha yushudanu ma'isov. It's the end of the 4th wide line of Rashi. Mishiknoi. The line ends with the word Mishiknoi. Mishikno lokeach. We'll just go to the next line. V'tlosa amaroininu. Read the 3 lines from the bottom of the page in Rashi. There are 3 amaroim here, and they're not all talking about the same thing. Rav Sova, what does Rav think? Yiush kani. Rav holds Yiush is koine. Yiush alone is the kinyan. It belongs to the ganav. Hilkach lo mechayev ela b'lifnei Yiush. The only time you chayev on selling is before Yiush. After yiush, you can be chayav on something you did to something belongs to you. After yiush, it's none of your, excuse my language, none of your stupid business what I do with my thing. I paid you already. I'm the owner now. True, I'm a ganav. I'm not a nice guy. You can call me names. I don't make a shidduch with my daughter. But Lamaisa, right now, I am the owner. I sold it on, I slaughtered it on. Go home. That's what, for sure. In other words, the Rav must say, tzvicha mechira only works, only chayev before yiush. Rav Nachman and Rav Sheshes, they're coming on a different nekuda. Sabri yiush greda loy kani. Oh, both Rav Nachman and Rav Sheshes know the yiush alone is not koine. Yiush doesn't make it bring it under the ownership of the ganav. Mushumachi, therefore, le'acha yiush michayev. Everyone agrees you chayev after yiush. That's not a question. However, umiu behopligi. So what are they arguing about? Rav Nachman lo bayanu ma'isov, as I told you. Rav Nachman says, I know before yiush nothing happened. So what? We don't need an effective mechira. Yiush greda. What's greda? Yiush alone. There's just yiush. No kinyan, no nothing. I know there was nothing. Now michayev. The Torah says you're playing moicher. You're playing stolen good shop. That's a dangerous game to play. That's like playing doctor. I don't like it. Rav Sheshes by mechira gemura. Rav Sheshes says no. Mechira gemura. Rav Sheshes says you only chayev if you sold a real sale. That you chayev. So Rav Nachman and Rav Sheshes are not talking about yiush. Yiush is not koine. We know that. We're not on Rav's side. I just want you to understand Rav and Rav Nachman and Rav Sheshes are not siding with Rav. They're just saying we still believe, not we. Rav Nachman believes that a non-effective mechira before Yush not works as effective, but you chayiv to pay 4 and 5 if you did it. Playing moicher, that's playing with fire. Okay, now let's see the different sources. Back to the Gemara. Rav Nachman Omar. Now, what are the sources in the Bible, in the Torah? Rav Nachman Omar chayiv. Why? Umechoroi Omar Achmano. Rav Nachman says, since it says the word umechoroi, he sold it. Says the Torah vazabin. That's all. When the Torah says you sold it, you chayiv. Loshna lifnei yush, loshna lachar yush. I don't care if it's before or after yush. You made an act of mechira, you chayiv. Yes, so and so married so and so. It's not real marriage. It's called an ugly maisa. That kind of maisa is nicht pas nicht. That mechira is before or after yush. That's called mechoroi. Rav Sheshes Omar. Why? Chiyuv elachar yushu. Why? Excuse me, no. Lachar yushu danu maisov. Aval ifnei yush delo anu maisov. After yush is maisim ar mehani. They're effective. Lifnei yush lo anu maisov. Before yush is maisim are non-effective. He's playing games in shtuyot. Lo michayev. How does he know that? Do me the tvicha ba'inan. Remember? It has to be like tvicha danu maisov. Remember the limud that we had a few days ago? The tovach umocha. Just like tovach is irreversible and very real. And by the way, I told you a few times, what kind of tvicha you chayev on? If you banged it on the head, are you chayev? Yes or no? No. Only kosher shchita. Only kosher shchita you chayev on mitzad shchit mitzad tovach to pay 4 and 5. Oh, you may have shinui and it's yours, but not paying 4 and 5. Bidiu. Gezelah Kosov, as he told me in the email you write. Moshe sent me an email, Gezelah Kosov. 4 or 5 is Gezelah Kosov only if you slaughtered or sold real slaughter, real shchita kosher of ox and sheep. Why? I don't know. I'm not a mekubal. But that's it. So Mimela says Rav Sheshes, just like shchita has to be real, not fake. So to mechira has to be real. If you're doing a mechira that's not real, you're not chayav 4 and 5. I'm not saying again. The 4 or 5 he doesn't pay. Or Rav Sheshes mino minollah. How do we know that? Why is it that the Torah says that you have to pay 4 and 5? What's the logic behind it? You pay 4 and 5. What is the what's the ishtaresh? To take root. To take root, to actually dig your heels deeper in the ground. Instead of you, Mr. Ganav, quickly doing tshuva, make a U-turn, go back to Hashem and to the real owner, you're driving to the wrong direction and you really are doing something worse. You're actually really taking root. Amos, when are you really doing something worse? Ilam lifnei yush. If you do it before yush, mika nishtarish. It's not called nishtarish. It's not called that you really got deeper into the chet. You're playing games. You're not really deepening the chet. Very good. It's only lachar yush when the mechira is real and effective. That's nishtarish b'chet. Omar Rava. Who's Rava? He's always the lawyer of Raba and Rav and those who say only yush. And Rava says no. Rava is now defending of Nachman, and he says, no, shona b'chet. If you're only acting the chet again, not that you're really deepening the chet by really moving it to a new domain. Shona b'chet means you're showing a maisa, you're repeating it again and again. Even though repetition is irrelevant because you're not really doing anything new, but the fact you're behaving that way, mister, that's bad enough for us. You're going to pay 4 and 5, mister. No, Rav was above all of them. Rav was earlier than all. No, Rav is the first lawyer. The first Jewish lawyer. Rava was the 3rd generation, I think. Rava was his Talmud. No, Raba was before Rava. No. Raba could be, yeah. Was Rav, then Rabba Rav Yosef, then Rava and Abaye. The Raba, the 3 generations, very cool, right? Rav, afterwards it's Rabba, and then it's Rava, for sure. Yes. Toshma, quick, let's group in. Oh, everything that I told you is here in the Gemara. Just the tvicha is not reversible, not revocable. You can do tchias amesim to the animal. Mechira too. Only mechira that's real and irreversible. That's a good mechira that makes you chayav 4 and 5. Amos, when exactly is the mechira effective and not reversible? When is that? Ilam elifnei yush. We're attacking Rav Nachman against Rav Nachman. If it's before yush, amayna choseres. What did it say it's not reversible? Of course it's reversible. I'll go back to the customer of the God and say, mister, the whole thing was still a mistake. There's no yiush. Nothing happened. Elalacher yiush. Ushma min chiyuv lacher yushu. Aha. Must be after yiush. And you see, only post yiush you chayiv at dalet v'hei. Not before. Against Rav Nachman. The Gemara of Nachman pat l'shikna l'shloshim yoim. The same way we finished yesterday's year, we're finishing today's year. Doesn't Nachman know? Really, a mechira that's fake, but they think it's true. Like somebody wants to eat chazir. He's, taking off the kippah, not making a bracha. He's in Tel Aviv eating the chazir. Then it comes out to be, but that's say the Haredis veal. He does bacon bits, a fake one. He wanted to sin, but he didn't sin. Okay, good, mazel for him. So then, what are we saying? He wants to do the avera. He's acting the avera. In this case, he really has to pay 4 and 5. So what does it mean irreversible? Irreversible means if he sold it in a temporary sale for 30 days, he said the Ganav told his customer, listen, I'm an honest guy, says the Ganav, you're an honest guy. We're all honest over here. I'm giving it to you for 30 days and I'm selling it to you for a limited amount of time. Then give it back to me. So it's not exactly lending. That's all different. What's a lending? Mechir lazman. I'm not going there. Lemaisa, that kind of mechir not chayv. If the Ganav sold it with limited amount of time, that means to say ein chozeres, like shchita is ein chozeres. But if it doesn't mean it does not mean that it has to be a real sale. Even if the sale is fake because it's just not effective because it's before yiush, still has to pay 4 and 5. That's Rav Nachman's opinion. It doesn't have to be 30 days. It could be 15 or 60. Lo mishaneh. He's just saying mechira, which even the Ganav holds is a temporary mechira, time limited mechira. That's not as bad. It's not as terrible. It's not as bad as shchita, which is for life or for death. Therefore, he doesn't have to pay the Bava Kama. Thank you very, very much. En yiush ba'olam klal. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great